Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of Cookiecast. This week I sat down with the lovely Leanne Davies and we talked about all sorts of things, from crap TV to movies, favourite movies. There was the opportunity for Leanne to do us one of her wonderful impressions. We talked about the NFL and all sorts of things in between. So, I hope you'll join me in listening to the first episode of Cookiecast. I will warn our listeners that there is a high kitten content to this episode, so do watch out for that. So here we go. Episode 1, Cookiecast. Right, okay, podcast time. Let's do this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool.
Ready and waiting.
Okay, nice one.
Hit me.
That's not allowed. It's legal.
That's not part of it.
No.
Hit me with
Don't say it.
your first question.
Okay, so what have you watched on TV recently?
How recently?
Have you watched anything today?
Earlier this evening, I watched a part of an episode of Made in Chelsea.
Oh, Jesus.
New series has just begun.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yep.
Oh, I wish I'd have been here to watch that.
Yeah. I only got to watch half, so you can tune into the
Oh, I'm so
second
excited
half.
about that. That's amazing.
Yay.
Yay.
I've also been watching Geordie Shore,
I was going to say, what was that rubbish you were watching the other day?
one of my faves.
One of your faves. Yeah. Geordie Shore. Geordie Shore.
I think the last episode of that season is on tonight.
I was talking to Tom at work because he's a massive Geordie Shore fan.
No way.
And by massive, I mean he's like 7 foot tall and 4 foot wide. Not in like a fat way. He's just a walking man mountain. And he's a massive Geordie Shore fan. I said to him today, "What's your favourite TV programme?" His answer was Geordie Shore. That's how much of a fan he is.
Epic.
And then I had to ask him how he can actually watch that garbage because it's sort of shite. But then he went on to say he was into like Arrow and The Flash and what, Legends of Tomorrow? Is that? No.
Yeah.
Legends of
Something.
Tomorrow.
I've not seen it.
That with Wentworth.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
I see.
I wonder if we should address the fact that the background noise will be the cats absolutely destroying the house. Couldn't have timed that any better. Could not have timed that any better.
That's not them trashing anything. That's just playing in their tunnel.
Look how big the sound thing on that was. It was off the chart. Okay, so that was the...
So yeah, that was what I was watching. And before that, it was the your favourite title, Floribama Show.
Right, so this is going to be the third time that you're going to explain to me what on earth Floribama means.
It is set in Panama Beach City. No, Panama City Beach, which is in Florida.
Okay. Is Panama Beach not in Panama?
Maybe that's why it's like Panama City Beach.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess so.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
And is that another one of
It
these
is.
quote-unquote reality TV shows?
Yes, it is gold quality trash TV.
Gold quality trash TV.
Yeah. Doesn't get finer trashy than that.
And what's that one? What does that one do?
That was a sequel, I believe, to Jersey Shore. And not a sequel as in the same people, but just sort of the next iteration.
Okay, now Jersey Shore, I do know a little bit about the Jersey Shore because it's definitely T-shirt time, and that had Snooki.
Did have Snooki. who went on to have her own show with JWoww.
Those are names that I vaguely recognise, not from the fact that I've watched the programme, more of the fact that I've been in the room when that programme has been on.
And watched it.
Not through choice, through the fact that there was one TV in the room and that was what was on it, and I was in the room. And
you liked Paulie D. And
who's Paulie D? Which one's he?
He was the one with like the black hair that stood up.
Was he a DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of T-shirt time. What were the 3 T's?
T-shirt tie.
No, it was tanning, T-shirt, and I can't think what the other
I can't remember.
No, I don't know. So, Alabama Shaw. Floribama Shaw.
Yep.
Is a sequel to Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Is this the one where all the people from Jersey Shore went mental and started trying to get a petition to bring them back because they heard that there was going to be another version of their show, but they weren't in it? Is that the deal?
Had not heard of that. It sounds entirely likely. Please excuse me whilst I go retrieve the kitten from the windowsill.
That water bottle gets a lot of use. Okay. So that's TV done.
TV.
Unless you've got anything exciting to...
Whoa. We've just had like a 5-minute conversation. Was that not exciting?
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about your newfound love.
For
what we just watched.
Oh, Rick and Morty.
Yeah. And how is your favourite TV programme now, even though you didn't want to watch it?
It's not my favourite.
Definitely is. You laughed all the way through that episode.
That's because there were some very simple things that were on my level that
Simple
made me
things
chuckle.
For simple people.
Yeah.
Okay.
For simple, humoured people.
Simple minds.
That too.
Mm.
Yes. It is. What episode were we? Like episode 6? 7?
I don't know if that was episode 10.
Oh.
I don't know.
So it's taken me that long to laugh at it.
Yeah, but like any new show, you gotta let it bed in.
Yeah.
You gotta let it saturate.
And it's not something I ever wanted to watch.
That's because you have no taste. You've just literally spent 5 minutes talking about the TV shows you do watch.
Exactly.
I think we've established your level of taste for TV shows.
And Rick and Morty did not fall into that category.
Because it's for people with good taste.
You can say what you like. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that I didn't want to watch it.
Oh, okay.
But you were insistent.
Just kind of mentioned it in passing, I think. Anyway. Right, let's start some movies.
Okay.
Have you watched any films recently?
Yes. I have watched films with you.
Okay. What film have we watched recently? Tell me one.
Watched Total Recall. That was the most recent one.
Well, no. We watched the whatever they want to call it, remake, reboot of Total Recall.
We did.
Okay.
I like that film.
See,
even though it's got Colin Farrell in it.
I am not a massive fan of remakes and reboots, even though I think I've got at least a couple now. And you can't remake certain things, and I was very much against it. But we watched it, and it's not the first time we've seen it. We've seen it a couple of times.
4th time?
Yeah, something like that. And I think the whole point is, it's not the worst film ever made, which, when you're talking about a remake or a reboot or something that has re in it, you are generally working on the principle that it is going to be the worst film ever made, especially if it's a remake of a film you actually enjoy or like or love or whatever. So yeah, not the worst film ever made.
And for me, I can just treat it as a standalone because I've never seen the original, so...
Wow.
So I can just watch it for what it is.
How have we got this far into our relationship without that ever coming up?
You say this about every film I ever say that I've not seen.
Wow.
You do?
Some things you have to have seen to get this far in life.
Like
the original Total Recall.
Independence Day.
Have you seen Independence Day? Oh my word. It's got Jeff Goldblum in it.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Which?
Jeff Goldblum.
Which, I was going to say, leads us nicely into another film we watched. Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, Jeff Goldblum doesn't make films anymore. But then, oh no, yeah. Thor Ragnarok. Go on, give us your review of Thor Ragnarok.
I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Solely because Jeff Goldblum was in it?
He helped.
He helped?
He helped make it good. Sorry, we have a kitten attack again. Meet Dwayne.
Don't meet Dwayne.
Meet Dwayne, the little tabby. He's 4 months old. And looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. But we know from experience that is not true. Oh, now the other one's back on the windowsill. What was the question? Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok, go. Review, go.
Another good Thor film. You can't complain.
It's got to be the best Thor, because they decided to mix up the format of it. They decided to make it funny.
Yes.
And make a load of changes to things. Cutting Thor's hair off and getting rid of the...
Oh, spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, you got to do spoiler alert, haven't you?
Yep.
Although, by this point in time, I can't imagine there are many people who are interested in it that don't know that they've done that.
And it had, having the Hulk in it, I think that was quite...
Whoa, spoiler.
quite a big feature. Pairing them together.
It's a mix, isn't it? It's because this is how they're trying to get around doing the Planet Earth, Planet Hulk story by incorporating it into a Thor story. I read a book recently that had Ragnarok in it. It was at the end of Norse mythology.
What was Ragnarok?
It's like the end of days.
Oh, yes, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was the...
Like the thing that comes that destroys just everything.
Which was in the film. I remember now.
Whoa! Spoiler, you got to say spoiler.
No, but that's the title of the film. Surely that...
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Surely people...
Maybe it could have been a misleading title. Who knows? So, would you watch it again?
Yes.
If you had to rate it out of 10.
I was going to say, do we need some kind of Trevor and Trevor film rating?
How many Trevors would it get out of 10 Trevors?
It's easy watching because of the humour. Brain doesn't have to concentrate too much. So I'd say like a good 8.
I was going to say it's got to at least be 8 Trevors.
8 Trevors on the Trevor scale.
I'd maybe give it 8.5 Trevors.
Okay.
Do we need to establish what the Trevor scale looks like? Obviously 1 Trevor's not good and 10 Trevors are the best it could be.
Yep.
But...
How can we... What would be like the universal scale? What would be a mid-range film? 5 Trevors.
Would Total Recall remake be 5 Trevors?
I'd maybe say that was like 6.
Yeah, it's probably slightly above average. Okay, well, have we watched any other films recently that we could give a bit more of a scope to reviewing with using the Trevor scale?
We have also watched Yoga Hoses.
Yoga Hoses. Okay, do you want to give us a little bit of a
rundown?
Synopsis. Background.
So...
Am
I allowed to say who it was made by?
Yeah.
Made by Kevin Smith.
Shout out to Kevin Smith.
The one and only.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Kevin Smith's daughter.
Harley Quinn Smith.
and Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose Depp.
I nearly said Lily Rose Smith. That would have been wrong.
Close. Could cause some questions.
Do you want to tell
Premise
us
of the film?
what that was about?
I'm not even sure I can explain what it's about. Two girls working in a supermarket. And there is a murderer on the loose. Is that the storyline?
Okay. Potentially not the storyline I would have said it had, but I suppose that is a aspect of that film.
That's all it's about.
It literally isn't all it's about.
Oh, and some sausages.
Some sausages. They are called Bratzies.
Bratzies. Nazi sausages.
Yeah. What? How many Trevors would you give Yoga Hoses?
5.
Oh, so
That's the mid-range.
So Yoga Hoses was just a mid-range film in
For
your
me,
eyes.
yes.
See, this is not the first time I have seen Yoga Hoses. It's the second time I have seen Yoga Hoses, and whereas the first time I probably didn't feel that Kevin Smith had done it justice, and by that I mean he's always said it's one of the worst films ever made. And I thought that was an understatement. Whereas watching it the second time, I actually found that I really enjoyed it. I think it needed a bit of bedding in, maybe. And there were certain things in it that Kevin Smith always talks about deep cuts, and I felt that film had a lot of deep cuts, like when Kevin Conroy turned up. And
You liked that?
Yeah, for people who don't know, Kevin Conroy does the voice of Batman in things like Batman the Animated Series and stuff like that. And they had a line specifically designed around sort of letting people know that's who he was. And I was just like having some kind of geek spasm when that happened. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more this time round. Still not the best film ever made, and the third act of that film, no matter how much I love Ralph Garman, that I feel he wasn't utilised correctly in the back third of that film, which is a shame.
And I just want to clarify that the 5 for me doesn't mean that I disliked it or it wasn't. It's not that it wasn't enjoyable and it wasn't good, but it's just not the film for me. That's just a personal reflection.
Maybe you need to do what I did. Maybe you need to watch it again.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not sure I can bring myself to do that right now.
I'm not saying that. But maybe further down the line you might decide, you know what, I might not have given that film the chance it deserved.
Which is often the case for me, especially because I forget what happened in a film as soon as it switches off, so I often need to refresh my memory.
Any other films?
There was... I mean, we've watched a lot of films, but in the last week or so, there was another one. Tropic Thunder.
Ah, the classic Tropic Thunder. Such a great film. Such a good film. And I can say that knowing that about half of the cast in that film I don't like. So the fact for me to then go on and say that it's a great film surely shows how good a film that is.
And I feel like because those people are not acting as themselves, they're acting as other people.
What you mean? They're the dude playing the dude.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're referring to that?
That is what I would have said.
I still think, no matter what, and I don't think at this point this is a spoiler, because I imagine if you were going to see this film, you'd have seen it by now. It's been out like 10 years or something. But the scene where Jack Black is tied to a tree and he's trying to convince them to let him go is just phenomenal. And no matter how many times I see that film and that scene, I still laugh, proper full-on laugh at that bit.
A full-on guffaw.
Some might say a full-on guffaw. So, on the topic of films, bearing films in mind...
Wait.
Oh, How Many Trevors?
Yes, How Many Trevors.
I jumped the gun. Oh, man. Right, so, Tropic Thunder, How Many Trevors?
Let's both say it on 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3,
8.
7. Okay.
See, it's in that.
Yeah.
Why would you give it a 7? It's got to be up there.
Not one of my favourites. Enjoyable, but not. Doesn't cut my mustard.
Which brings us nicely to... Let me ask you this. If somebody came rushing through the door right now, gun to your head and said, name me your top 3 favourite films,
Yeah.
what would they be? Because I think I know your number 1 and number 2 favourite film. Might even be able to pick a number 3.
See, I think I know where you would go with that. Which, and I know why you would say them, but to be honest, they wouldn't be my favourite films right now. They are just...
Ooh, controversy.
all-time classics for me.
Okay. So, what do you want to do? You want to tell me or do you want me to guess?
You guess. I'll tell you if it's one of the ones that I would have said. I'm not sure I could think of what my actual favourite films would be.
That's going to make making a top 3 favourite films list quite tricky, I imagine.
Yes.
It feels like you've almost done no preparation for this question. If I'm honest.
You've literally just asked me, so. Okay.
Right, I think top 3 favourite films. Number 1, Front Door Still Dawn.
Yep.
Number 2, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Number 3. I think my number 3 has probably got to be a more recent one, and I'm going to throw out Pitch Perfect 1. Top 3 favourite films. Correct, not correct.
As I say, they wouldn't be my current favourites, but they are. If I was in a low mood and I needed a comfort film.
Would they be on your Desert Island discs?
Yeah. Might have a bad day on the desert island. Need a comfort film.
Yeah, true.
Would be.
You're on your 600 coconut of the year. And you think, you know what?
I've had 2 a day, every day, for a year. I'd be like, you know what I need to watch right now?
From Just Still Down.
That's not what I was going to say. I was going to make a joke, but I couldn't think of the film title quick enough to actually do it.
What was the joke?
That Tom Hanks movie.
Castaway.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not sure I'd want to be stranded on a desert island watching a film about a guy stranded on a desert island.
It might put things into perspective and make you realise that things
aren't...
aren't...
make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, things aren't that bad.
My stranded on a desert island isn't quite as bad as his stranded on a desert island.
Oh, it might make you feel worse because you'd be like, well, where's my Wilson? I haven't got a Wilson.
I imagine after 300 coconuts you might have created at least one Wilson by that point.
But it could only be half a Wilson because you made it and then you broke it open to eat it.
Maybe you could save one coconut and turn that into your Wilson.
I don't know. Life or death. And it's like, do I eat my only friend or do I set him free?
Well, I don't know. In this scenario, you've managed to find 299 other coconuts, so it might not be a life or death situation.
Maybe there was only...
Unless there was only 300.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you might have got me on that one. So, we're saying those are your top 3 comfort films.
Yeah.
Bad day, end of the day, you got to sit down, you got to watch a comfort film. See, in my world, you got to appreciate if you've had a bad day at work, there is only one film to watch if you've had a bad day at work.
Okay, what's that?
It's got to be Clerks. That film will make you feel like a bad day at work never happened.
I couldn't really comment on that.
Don't say it.
Having not seen it.
Oh, no. Oh, right in the heart.
You must know this, though.
I don't know if I did know that. I'm sure I must have subjected you to that film at some point in time. I made you watch Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
It was in Mallrats.
Yeah, but like 17 years ago.
So why haven't you seen Clerks?
Maybe I have.
Maybe you have. Maybe you're telling horrible, dirty lies to the people in podcast land. Okay, so let's talk about Kevin Smith.
Okay.
We can't avoid the elephant in the room.
No. Or the Kevin Smith in the room.
Whoa.
He's sat over there in the corner.
Oh, finally. I was actually listening to it. For anybody who doesn't know, I can't imagine who that might be at this point in time. Kevin Smith had a fairly major heart attack.
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago now. And today I was listening to him doing a podcast which featured the audio from the Facebook Live video he did from the hospital, where he's basically telling the world that he was okay. And that was like 20 minutes long. Do you want to tell the story of how I found out about Kevin Smith having a heart attack, or do you want me to tell that story?
Oh, when I text you asking if you'd heard about Kevin Smith.
So, you text me saying, have you heard about Kevin Smith? Now, in my world, I don't know about anyone else, but in my world, if somebody sends you a text message that reads, have you heard about X famous person? 98% of the time, it means that person has died.
Yes.
So I was in the gym, getting ripped, obviously. Obvs, definitely not. And I had a particularly bad day, and I was trying to work out my problems in the gym, and you sent me a text message saying, have you heard about Kevin Smith? And all I could think was, oh my God, you're going to tell me that he's died. And at that point in time, stood in the middle of the gym, I was like, I can't handle that information. Kevin Smith's been a huge part of my life. I was introduced to Kevin Smith by my dad when I was 19, and he showed me the film Clerks. And if I'm honest, I didn't overly like Clerks when I first saw it. I didn't get it. I was 19 and I was watching a film that was in black and white when we live in a world of colour films. And in hindsight, I don't think I was old enough for that film, and I don't think I had enough intelligence to watch that film. And ultimately, I just didn't really get it. But I found that having seen it, it was a film that I would talk to other people about and sort of say to people, oh, have you seen this film? I've seen this film and this happened. And I found that I talked about it a lot. So over the coming years, I watched it again and again, and eventually realised that it's a great film. It's very funny. It's got a lot of good conversations and stuff. And I mean, by this point, I can't imagine there's many people out there that don't know the story of Clerks and how it came to be made. And I won't bore people with the details because that's what Kevin Smith does on
bores people with details.
No, on an almost weekly basis, he tells the story of Clerks. So yes. I imagine at this point, I don't need to do that. And then round about the point, because I was just such a huge fan, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jane and Silent Bob Strikes Back, and so on. And then I saw Kevin Smith in a Die Hard film, Die Hard 4, I think it is. And I was appalled because I hated the film. I thought it was one of the worst films I'd ever seen. And I was appalled.
He played Silent Bob?
No, he was
Silent Bob in
he was essentially playing Kevin Smith. I basically wiped that film from my memory, so I can't really tell you exactly what happened in that film or his part in it. But I was appalled that he'd done it.
Yeah.
And that kind of put me off Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith faded into the background, and I didn't really bother with anything that he'd done in that time. And then over the last few years, I got back into what he was doing, the films he was making. We could spend quite a long time talking about the amazing Tusk.
I liked Tusk.
There you go, you see. Maybe
It was a bit
yoga.
out there, a
Maybe
bit.
yoga hoses will become the new tusk for you. And hugely, the whole podcast thing. A friend of mine says that Kevin Smith does like 100 podcasts. He certainly seems to do like 2 a day of different podcasts with different people, with different guests. The man is a podcasting machine. I imagine he's probably not podcasting as much at the moment, having in recovery after his heart attack, but I have heard a podcast that he's done since he's had his heart attack. But anyway, the reason that we're sitting here now attempting to do this podcast is literally because Kevin Smith told me I could do a podcast, because he tells everybody that they can do a podcast.
Anyone can do a
Anyone
podcast.
can do a podcast. And there are things in this podcast that will seem a little bit like some of the stuff he does, and then there'll be stuff that won't be anything like what he does, and we're trying to...
And nobody will care.
yeah, nobody's going to hear it, so it doesn't matter. But Kevin Smith told me I could do it, and I believed him, so that's why we're doing this podcast. So, next question. Let's talk NFL.
Okay.
Have you seen the movers and the shakers in the NFL world this week?
Oh, there's been quite a few.
Oh my God, there's been so many. I don't even think... We'd have to do a separate podcast to get all of them
Too
in.
many to keep
But
track.
As I think I've said before, there's for every specialist thing out there, there's 100 podcasts, and there are many, many podcasts out there that talk about the NFL. I'm pretty sure the NFL have their own
podcast, and probably from people that are a lot more knowledgeable. Than you and I.
We don't know all that much about NFL. We know. I was talking to Tom at work again, and he was saying that he likes the throw-in ones. Was what he said today?
The throw-in ones.
The throw-in ones, the ones that do the throw-in, was his way of saying it.
Who's that? The quarterbacks.
That would be the quarterback, yeah. The throw-in ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple of notable sort of movers. Richard Sherman.
The Shermanator.
Yes.
RS25. Go.
Yes.
What do you think?
Leaving the Seahawks, or left the Seahawks.
Left the Seahawks.
And now signed.
Went free agent for a whole day.
A whole
And where has Richard Sherman found a new home?
With the Browns.
No, not the Browns. That's where everybody else has gone.
Oh.
You don't know?
No.
Richard Sherman's gone to the 49ers.
To the 49ers.
Possibly the worst decision he could have made, seeing as there was a lot of other teams that showed interest. Wasn't there something about him being in talks with the Lions?
To the Lions, yeah.
That would have been interesting. Certainly more interesting than going to the 49ers. Because at the moment, the 49ers feels a little bit like the Browns. That's where players go to die.
Oh.
Career-wise, not...
No, not physically, but yeah, that's quite a bold statement.
But yeah, everybody went to the Browns.
Yes, a lot of people went to the Browns. That's why that sprung to mind. Maybe the Browns are going somewhere.
Maybe the Browns are going to get away from their 0-16 2017 season.
Yeah, they might win a game.
No, wait, what? They might win a game this year.
Yeah.
It's possible, however unlikely that might seem.
There's hope for them.
There is.
They had like 4 new players or something, didn't they?
Yeah, in like the space of like a day or 2 days, 4 big players went. I saw earlier this evening that Case Keenum, disgraced former... I don't know, disgrace might be the right word. Somebody who played for the Rams.
Yes.
He was on that programme we watched.
He was, yeah.
All or Nothing.
All or Nothing, yeah.
And it was one of those things. I felt
old.
that he played reasonably well, but I felt that the team didn't play well enough for the way he was playing, and he bore the brunt of that by being replaced. And then he went to the Vikings.
Yes.
And the Vikings had a very good season. They were in the playoffs. But now it sounds like he's going to the Broncos.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting. The Broncos have really suffered. Since Manning went, they've really
found their
suffered
place
at quarterback. But didn't they spend like 130 million on a quarterback or something?
Oh, I don't
last
know.
season. What did they pay for Seaman?
I don't know how much.
And the other guy.
I'm not
the problem the Broncos had last year was they couldn't decide what game they were playing. Changing quarterbacks every week is not a recipe for a winning team.
No.
So
I've got no consistency.
So if Case Keenum's going there, maybe they can do something with him. Somebody moved from the Broncos.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Somebody was going from the Broncos to the Dolphins, was it? Talib, was it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I might be talking. This is our level of NFL knowledge.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor was one of the guys that have gone to the Browns.
Tyrod Taylor's gone from the Bills to be the quarterback for the Browns, which is interesting. Yeah, maybe he didn't want a career in the NFL. Ooh.
No, that's why the Browns are going to turn things around, because he's had a couple of good years that have come him out of being a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? You know, the Browns have never really been able to do anything. Anything else from the NFL?
Yes. Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, allegedly going free agent to then turn around and sign with the Saints for another 2 years for something like $50 million.
What would the Saints have done without him, though? That would have been suicide.
It is a thing that Drew Brees does literally carry that team. Him and Ingram. Loves getting me some Ingram on the fantasy team.
Oh, yes.
Loves getting me some Ingram. Man will put points on the board week in, week out. And I will come round your house and slap you sideways if you try and draft Mark Ingram before I do.
How many sleeps until we can even think about the next?
8,000 sleeps
until the next draft.
No, that's just what it's going to feel like.
I don't mean the actual start of the season, because obviously we get to draft sort of like a week.
Yeah, so what is it? September?
Yeah, it's usually the first.
Wow, that makes me want to cry.
End of the first week.
There's people at work that I don't actually speak to anymore because
we're
not in the fantasy season or in the NFL season. I have nothing to talk to them about. Me and the boy Lacey pass each other like two ships of the night with just right.
Nothing.
Whereas so many weeks ago we were like, two peas in a pod.
Stood at the drinks machine, just slaying each other verbally.
You're going down this week. Yes, I know your team is amazing. Mine is awful. Yeah, it was great conversation. Yeah. Any more NFL news from
Trevor,
NFL correspondent.
Lamest NFL correspondent.
I don't know. I think you've got a career.
Nothing else to report.
Nothing impressive. What about Kirk Cousins?
Oh, yes, I was going to say that.
Free agent.
I thought somebody's picked him up.
I think I saw something earlier today that said that he was potentially going to be end up being the highest paid quarterback or something. And I was like, what? But no, I don't know. I don't know who is going to pay that money. I don't know who's bidding for him or what.
Okay, no, I didn't actually.
But he was the other free agent, wasn't he, with the Shermanator?
Yes.
Well, certainly a big name free agent.
I'm sure there will be more things to come. More changes, I mean.
Indeed.
I'll keep my ear close to the ground.
Keep it well and truly fixed to the ground so that you can update.
I will report back next week with something interesting.
Podcast listeners.
Yep.
Okay. So, I'm just going to make a note of something there because somebody, not using any names, has left something off the list. So, I want to talk to you about diets and exercise.
Before that, can we just talk about how these kittens are absolutely mental? Right, continue. They have stopped racing up and down the living room.
when we have to do a synopsis for our podcast, I think we'll get some very interesting listeners, because there'll be people out there that going, is there a podcast out there for me, a crazy cat lady? And our thing will read, a podcast talking about how annoying kittens are. And it'll be like, ooh, there is a podcast for crazy cat ladies.
I don't actually care about anything else they talk about, but I just wait for the moment when the cats go racing past.
For an hour-long podcast, they spend 45 minutes talking about kittens. Right, let's talk diets and exercise.
Okay. What about them?
They're very important. Tell me, where are you at? How many days are you into your diet and exercise regime?
So this will be day 2.
Day 2, boom, in the bank.
of the new
and the day
regime.
isn't even over yet.
Yeah.
So, day 1.8.
Yes. Although I think I will make it to the end of the day. Yeah, I'll go to bed in 10 minutes.
To bed now.
That's it. Bedtime gets earlier and earlier when you're on a diet, just because you literally
I'm so hungry right now.
can't face being awake any longer with
more.
no food.
I'm going to have to drink like 8 gallons of water, and then I can do what I usually do and go to the toilet 18 times in the night.
So, this has been building since January the 1st, essentially.
Yeah, so we're only a couple of days, months off.
Starting, and it's been a lot of false commitments too.
No, I don't think it's that. You know what it is? In my opinion, I think that what it actually is that chocolate's really nice.
That's fair.
You know what else is really nice?
What?
Cake. That's really nice. Biscuits.
There's some chocolate hobnobs in the drawer.
Oh, sweet.
Which I wish I hadn't bought at the weekend and then decided to get on
That's
to the
nearly
diet.
as bad as somebody going out to the farm shop and buying 18 bars of chocolate when we're on a diet.
Which I told you at the time was unnecessary.
I said to Rob, if I didn't buy them, you would have been like, where's my chocolate?
I wouldn't have.
And I'd have said, but you're on a diet, and you'd have gone, wow. Wow. And I'd have been in the doghouse. But if I bought it, I'd have equally been in the doghouse. So it was a no-win situation, so I went with the easiest option to buy the chocolate.
Buy the chocolate. It can go in the cupboard.
Some of it can be
sampled
at the weekend. It can
at the
go in
weekend.
the belly cupboard. That's a good place for it.
That's not a
No,
cupboard.
I'm on it. Right, let's talk about diet. So, how's the diet going? Day 2.
Day 2, so far so
Any
good.
struggles? Any temptations? Any feel the need for chocolate in your mouth and in your belly?
I'm doing okay.
Cool.
I'm in the right headspace this time.
It's
Every
all
other
about-
time, my head hasn't been in the game. I've wanted to do exercise and lose some weight, but I just haven't actually been committed to the cause.
Yeah.
But now I feel differently.
And it's all about the mentality of it.
It is, yeah.
It's one of those things that
You have to be ready.
you do have to be ready.
You
And
can't force it.
previously, we've been ready and we've done really well. And I think just because it's been quite a tough time over the last few months, that has been allowed to slide. And I think my issue is tying diet and exercise together. My issue is I go to the gym 5 times a week.
Yes.
I do double, sometimes triple cardio in the gym. I lift weights. I do all sorts of stuff like that. And that's great. But when the diet's not there, it's a lot of, I'll just eat this because it's, it's protein. Because it's an entire bag of peanuts. That's protein.
Yeah.
With all the fat attached to it.
Yeah, it could be like an 800 calorie bag of peanuts.
Yeah. And, once you've opened a bag of peanuts, they're going to go off. So you might as well eat them all.
You just got to finish them.
And, I mean, there was that point where I lost all that weight and needed to put some weight back on so that I could try and lose it a little bit more naturally. And we kind of went a little overboard with putting the weight on.
We did, and people naturally struggle during winter because it's cold, it's dreary, and comfort food is obviously the answer.
At the end of the day, we are essentially animals, so there is probably some kind of hibernation type of thing in us.
Mentality.
You need to put on a bit of weight to get you through the winter, to keep you warm and stuff, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
That's true. But like today, it was sunny, and it makes you feel more focused on.
That's that vitamin D getting in the bones.
Yeah.
I think for me, the realisation of having to buy a I'd like to say slightly bigger pair of trousers, but that's not true. They're my clown pants, because they're massive, because I couldn't get a slightly bigger pair. I had to get a 4 sizes too big pair, not because I needed to get 4 sizes too big, because the next size up the shop didn't have.
They weren't available, yeah.
So I had to get something. So I had to get a massive pair of trousers. But the reminder of the fact that 3 years ago, those were the size trousers I was wearing. And that was that. God, we're heading back to that sort of area. My jeans are tight and there's T-shirts I can't wear. And
it's time to pull it back before it goes too far.
Got to rein it in.
Yeah.
I've got an awards ceremony to go to next week, and it's going to be great. Go into that feeling fat and useless.
You don't need to feel useless.
I suppose it is an awards ceremony.
Yeah.
I'm not getting an award. I'm just going as +1. I'm going as the award ceremony person's date. So talk to me about some exercise. You down with the exercise? What exercise regime are you using right now? Yawning, that's an exercise.
Yeah, it is for me.
Using the jaw muscle.
Yeah. I'm in the place where you think about doing exercise as opposed to actually doing it.
Burning those thought
It's
calories.
like I'm psyching myself up to actually doing.
Like L from Death Note. He could eat all that ice cream and all those sweets and stuff.
Because he was burning.
Because he was
brain
mentally
power.
burning the calories off using his brain at such a high level.
Yeah. I could go with that one. I think.
Yeah?
I think a lot.
Okay. Maybe that's why you don't put as much weight on as I do.
Maybe. I do burn it mentally. But I did go out running on Sunday.
Yep.
And I made a point
How
of
many miles?
running. So all in all,
Talk
covered
to me about miles.
covered 8 miles. Not
Ran.
No, not all running.
Not all running.
Running. I wasn't running for all 8 miles.
Okay.
But I covered 8 miles walking. I did 15,000 steps, according to my phone.
What ratio would you say was walking to running?
Probably like 40, 60. Walking to running.
Okay. End of the day, it's more than most people were doing on a Sunday morning.
And I made a
More
point
than I did.
of running to the place where I was due to start running.
Yeah.
Just to add a bit on where I could have got in the car and driven 2 miles, but
Yeah. All right.
tried to run it. Yeah.
On the way to the gym.
Yeah.
I did run, but I ran 1.9k. And when I say run, I didn't run it all. But I just used that as a warm-up in the gym on the treadmill to get my juices flowing before I get a pump on.
Get the blood pumping.
And I did like at least 9k on the bike. So that's got to count for something.
Yep.
That's after a workout. So,
Yeah.
so I think we should use our podcast as like
To keep us sort of
like
honest.
Jason Mewes would do to keep himself clean, or Bill Burr would talk about his. He talks a lot about his working out, or lack of at the moment. But he talks about trying to lose weight and how he goes about doing it.
Yep.
And I found that to be very useful when I was trying to lose weight, because it felt like me and him were doing it together.
Okay, so we can report
so we
back
could be
on
a
our
motivation
own
for,
progress.
Yeah, for other people.
Well, so I will say out loud now, tomorrow, lunchtime, I do have HIIT and yoga.
HIIT, for those people that don't know?
High intensity interval training.
Apparently, I watched a video on YouTube last night about the best ways to, I imagine, to burn fat. Let's go with that. And HIIT was on the list.
HIIT is up there, so it's 20 minutes of activity. I think you're only actually working for half that time, or more than half that time, and the rest of the time is rest in between each activity. I'm sure there are lots of sort of options out there, but we just use Joe Wicks, a short video. So I'm just saying that out loud. I've got HIIT and yoga tomorrow, lunchtime. So
Twofer.
I can report back and
So when we next podcast, when we next sit down and I say to you, so tell the people, did you do it and yoga? Your answer will be yes, most definitely.
Yes.
Cool.
That is true.
I'll have been to the gym like
6 times.
6 times by then. And I'll have definitely lost some weight.
Yes. How are we going to
100.
measure that? On the scales?
You generally would measure how you lose weight by standing on the scale.
I just might not.
I don't know. I mean, maybe we could, guess. Should we guess?
Shall we just look at each other and guess?
I think you've lost 8 stone in the last week.
What I meant was, were you actually going to weigh yourself on the scales, or was it a case of trying on those old trousers?
I weighed myself a little while ago, so I've got a vague idea of how much I weigh, and I'll weigh myself on Monday maybe.
Okay.
And we'll assess from there. And yes, I'd like to try the other trousers on, and yes, I'd like to be able to do them up. And no, I don't think that's possible at this point in time. But we'll see.
Okay. Not when you've got like a week or so.
Yeah, it's probably pushing it.
Okay. But we will use this time to check in and keep us on that path.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So, something that I've been thinking about recently, and you can shed a lot of light on this. I am horribly, horribly dyslexic.
Okay.
And I often get you to check things for me. Like if I write an email to someone, or if I write something down and I need to check in for spelling and grammar and things like that.
Yeah.
I give it to you. And then I gave you an email to check the other day. And I was like, I wonder what it's like for somebody that has to read something that's been written by somebody that's dyslexic. Because it'll have no grammar in it.
Limited.
No punctuation. Although I'm trying to be better. I know how to put commas into sentences, but only if I'm writing a list.
Okay.
But I sent that email to you, and then 2 minutes later you'd sent it back to me, and it was all like moved around and reworded in certain places and reordered, and all the spelling and punctuation was in it. So I just wondered, like, from your perspective, what is it like when you get that email or that thing from me where I go, oh, can you just read this? And is it just like, do you just think, Jesus, this guy is freaking dumb?
No, obviously I don't think that. And it's almost easier to rejig something once somebody's got the content down for you.
I suppose all the hard work's been done.
Yeah, because all the information's there. It's just putting it into something that flows a little bit better. And I'm quite conscious not to fully rewrite what you've written. It's
I suppose
all
it'll
about
flow
keeping.
in a certain way.
Yeah.
It's just not punctuated very well.
Yeah, I just tend to punctuate things and maybe just reorder it slightly.
Okay. It was just something in the week that I thought about, and I was like, I don't know if this makes for an interesting podcast discussion.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate, and they might not have somebody that can check stuff for them.
I had to submit quite an important email at one point in the last couple of weeks, and that was the thought. I was like, what would I do if I didn't have somebody who could read this email and give me that support, that side of it? What if you had to submit an email that was important, or write a letter to someone and it was important, and you didn't know where that comma was supposed to go, or how to... I mean, I learned, because I used to, if I wrote something, I'd write one massive paragraph. It was just one paragraph with, there was just sentence after sentence after sentence.
Yeah.
And one of my old managers sort of said, look at the space that you have available, and if you're not filling that space, then break it up. And that's how I now go back and reorder stuff.
Yeah.
So I break stuff up when it's supposedly when you change subjects, you put a paragraph, new paragraph.
Yeah.
But the realization that can actually be, you can be talking about the same thing in the same way at the same time, but it still needs a new paragraph because you're talking about it slightly differently.
Yeah.
I did it today. I'd written this massive block paragraph thing, and then I went back and reordered it, and just going back and pressing enter a couple of times at various points through it, it made it look a lot better, and then I sent this.
It's almost like the point. I always think of a comma is needed when you need somebody just to take a breath before they carry on with the sentence, if they were reading out loud, say.
Something. Do you remember when I was doing that stuff? I don't know if it was my counselling qualification.
Yeah.
We went to Pete's, and he'd sort of said the way I write, it lends itself to, like, putting, or the way I read something that I've written lends itself to punctuation, and he said you should just read it out loud.
Yeah.
Read it, and when you have to take a breath, then probably need a comma.
You need a comma or a full stop.
Or a full stop.
Yeah.
And that is something that I should probably go back to looking at doing when I do these things where I write something and go, well, I'd have to do it myself and read it out loud. But like I say, didn't know if it would make for an interesting discussion. Anything else?
I was just going to say that you're going back to those people that potentially don't have somebody to, if you were in the position where you didn't have somebody to review your email, I think you would almost have to work on the basis that it's not your fault. And if you have to send a letter or an email and there's nobody there to check it for you, then you're going to have to go with what you can do. And whoever's reading it's going to accept that you've got dyslexia or something. You might even have to disclose that at the end of it. Because I've seen a lot on like professional emails at work. People will put like a little disclaimer at the bottom saying, please excuse spelling mistakes. This is sent from like my iPhone or a BlackBerry or something. Because they'll have written an email on like a small device. So they're saying, please allow for these things. So you just do something like that.
Especially the iPhone. The iPhone has reasonably good spell checking as you're writing stuff. You know, you get the red squiggly line and you get the other options, and you can press on something.
Or it auto-corrects to something wrong, though.
Yeah, the auto-correct's there.
Although I suppose auto-corrects text message more than email, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the cat has just turned the screen on your mobile phone. He's using the iPhone.
He's using the iPhone to check his spelling.
Dwayne is less simple than we thought.
No. Right, okay, so it's come to that time. There's a time where we reveal that being huge Kevin Smith fans, and my favourite number one podcast has to be Hollywood Babylon. I'm a huge Ralph Garman fan, purely for the fact that I listen to Hollywood Babylon. But Ralph Garman does do some very good impressions. Impressions. Okay. So, we know, me and you know, that you're an exceptional impressionist.
I am possibly the best impressionist out there.
So maybe not. But I said to you that we should teach you an impression a week and get you to practice that impression and then do it for the podcast listeners.
Okay.
So,
I don't think I've been practicing anything this week.
You have. I've seen you in the mirror doing all sorts of impressions, faces and all sorts of stuff.
You're just making that up.
No, I saw it. I was there. So, I think what we'll do is we'll let you pick which impression you want to do. I'm going to give you 3 choices.
Okay.
You can do a Scottish accent.
Okay.
An Irish accent.
Okay.
Or one of these 2 famous people.
Okay.
So that's kind of 4 options.
4 options, yeah.
You can do an impression of Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger to throw out some of the Ralph Garman classics. And indeed, impression classics themselves. So, which one are you going to choose?
Scottish or Irish? I can't even think how they go.
Irish.
Irish.
There you go. That's your impression.
Okay, do I have to say something specific?
I don't know. So because I went to Dublin last year and I worked out that the word Dublin lends itself so heavily to the Irish accent, it's like it was meant to be. So just saying Dublin.
Dublin.
There you go, you see.
I'm Irish because I'm from Dublin.
Dublin. There you go.
Thanks a million.
I'm not sure they say that.
They do.
I don't think they talk about Lucky Charms either.
Oh, Lucky Charms.
Oh, dear.
Like a leprechaun. Leprechaun.
Oh my word.
It's all gone horribly wrong.
Oh God.
Let's go back to Dublin.
The train's come off the rails. The impression train has come off the rails. Go back to Dublin.
Dublin.
And stay there.
Okay.
Okay, so each week...
It was a one-way rainbow.
I'm going to find some interesting impressions for you to try and learn live. Quote, unquote,
what about...
live
why don't you
podcast.
demonstrate either Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger so that then I can revert next week?
I can just give you pointers. Like I always say to you, Stallone's a lot of... A lot of that. Stallone's a lot of that. A lot of that.
Okay, so I'm going to practice.
And Arnold's a lot of yeah. And you got to get those two sounds and then work from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Another watch this space and listen out for Trevor's impression.
So, something I was thinking about was once we become huge podcast superstars.
Are we not already?
I presume so.
I think at this
probably
point...
100,000 listeners by the time this gets put out there. Before it's even released, we'll probably have at least 100,000 listeners.
I reckon we've got 2.
Yeah, they don't count. I don't think they know how to download iTunes.
They are
on
asleep.
their mobile devices. So, if you could advertise a product,
Yes.
what would it be? Because I know what my advertising product would be. I've been thinking about it long and hard, and what really fuels my day, what gets me from the start of the day to the end of the day.
What is that?
That is...
A Mars bar?
No.
Oh.
I don't even like Mars bars. Well, no, that's not true. I'll eat a Mars bar, but I wouldn't buy
It wouldn't
a
be
Mars
your
bar.
favourite.
I gave my free chocolate bar to Simon at work, and he got a Mars bar, and I nearly took it back off him.
He can't eat chocolate. He's vegan.
He isn't vegan. He's vegetarian, isn't he?
Oh, okay. He went back on himself.
Yeah, because, my body can't handle it.
So we introduce that to impression of the week.
That's my impression of it, Simon.
So,
Did I say what my fake advert is?
no, you didn't.
Oh, okay, right. So my fake advert is Asda's flavoured still water.
Okay.
I can't get
on
through
what
the
basis?
day.
Right, okay. You can't get through the day.
Like 2 litres of Asda's still flavoured water.
And
Not fizzy, still.
what is the reigning champion of Asda's still water flavour?
Cherry and plum's up there, but I like the mango and passion fruit. Is that the one?
Yeah.
That's probably my favourite.
Okay.
I like that one. But I like to mix it up as well. That raspberry and green tea is quite nice.
Yeah.
Not. Well, yeah, it's nice. And it's got green tea. That's supposed to be good for you. Antioxidants in it.
Yeah.
So, if you were asked to advertise a product, what product would you happily advertise as the product that gets you through the day?
Ah, now you see, because I was going to say something, but it's not about getting me through the day. But my life would not be worth living if I didn't have this product.
Okay.
And that is Whisker's kitten food.
Really?
That's what I mean. It's not about getting me through the day.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to pay them to advertise.
Who?
Them two idiots.
But you should hear the racket they make when
I do
I'm
hear the
stood in the
racket.
kitchen.
It's nothing but racket.
They just follow me in there every time I go in there thinking that they're going to be fed each and every time. Okay, so not Whisker's kitten food then.
Not them, you. What's your product that you would advertise?
I don't know.
What do you use every day?
Deodorant?
I'm pleased to hear that. What about, do you have a coffee every day? Where do you get your coffee from?
It is the subsidised Not subsidised, not at all. No, that's not what I meant. I meant the outlet. It's a Costa outlet.
Oh man, I hate Costa.
It is not a Nero outlet.
Should be a Nero's. Then I would have to move my desk to the cafe.
So there is a coffee day.
Oh, I should be, Nero's.
You should be a Nero's, yeah.
Do you know something, though? I haven't had a Nero's in ages. It's Tuesday today.
Oh, and you didn't have
I didn't have a free Nero's because it's not... I don't know.
Are they not free?
Well, I think they only do them at a certain time of day now.
Oh, okay. Not
to
lunchtime.
avoid the lunchtime rush, and I go out on a lunchtime, so... I actually thought about Nero's fondly today whilst buying a coffee from a different coffee vendor.
I think we had one last weekend, didn't we?
That rings a bell.
There was a day when we had one.
There was a day.
And I actually thought it wasn't that good, and I thought, how was it over the Christmas break, or maybe earlier? We were having like 2 a day.
Because my Nero's card had auto-topped up and put a shed load of money on itself, we had to spend it. Yeah. Okay, well, for next week.
What, I need another advert for next week?
No, I want you to do a full-blown advert.
How do I do a full-blown advert?
Well, firstly, you need to decide on a product, because I don't feel that you've given me a product. I gave you a product. And then I want you to do a full-blown advert.
Okay.
You know. Do
I have to do like a little jingle?
Jingle jangle?
Not just a jingle.
Oh,
like... Still flavoured water. Gets you through the day.
Yeah. But for whatever your product is, that's my product, okay. And I'm stealing that. That's my jingle. I'm going to cut that out of the podcast, and then I'm going to put it to some music, and then that's my jingle from my advert.
For next week.
Thanks for that.
Awesome.
Sweet. Right, there's a job. So you need to learn your impression for next week. We'll check up on your Irish accent.
I don't think it can get much better than that.
It was pretty good. Better than previous attempts that I've had. So
just don't make any mention.
I gave you a freebie by telling you what might come up as your next impression. Never know, it might be Kermit the Frog.
Oh.
Do you know Kermit the Frog? Do you know Miss Piggy?
I know Miss Piggy.
Okay, so you never know, it might be Miss Piggy next time.
Oh, I was going to do it, but then that would have ruined it.
Would have ruined it.
Okay.
So that's it. The Trevor and Trevor podcast with Trevor Jones and Trevor Jones.
Trevor Jones Senior.
And Trevor Jones Junior.
No, that's wrong.
Right, there we go. Podcast in the bag. Number 1, episode 1, season 1. Done.
Over and out.
Peace, y'all. So there we go. Episode 1 in the bag. Episode 1 was with the lovely Leanne Davies, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on our Facebook page, which is Cookiecast. Send us a like on there. If you want to contact us via Twitter, it's @CookieCastPod. If you want to email us, you can send an email to cookiecast.pod@gmail.com. Send us a message, send us an email, tell us what you think, tell us what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Let us know what you think we could do better, and we will try and make a podcast that you guys want to listen to. Join us next week for our podcast where we'll be talking to Paul Williams about things like TV, movies, NFL, wrestling, all sorts of things. There's a few podcast mentions in there just to round things off nicely. Anyway, I want to thank you for listening to the first ever episode of Cookiecast, and don't forget, give us a shout, tell us what you want to hear more of. Okay, thank you, bye bye.